Hey guys, this is Z with SansMinds, and today we are going to talk about classic force. If you don't already know what a classic force is, then there might be a better video to watch. Today we are going to talk about how I do and how other people do classic force. And let me give you some examples. Usually, a classic force is done with the brake, and then either this card or that card is your forcing card and you are spreading it in this fashion to force the desired card. But I see Spanish school of people, they do it differently. Uh, Not too different, but still different. For example, Danny Ortiz, he does it this way, boom, 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 and feeds the card to the spectator or the audience or let's say participant. So it's he can't miss, but this style doesn't suit me very well because he is a very free spirit and everything feels free. So this thing doesn't feel too forced. But if I do it, I'm a kind of guy who I keep my frame in a certain position. So that kind of thing doesn't suit me really well. So here is how I do my classic force. It's not mine, but this is how I do it. Setup. How I set my classic force up is I usually force from here, not here. Because if I'm forcing from here, then I need to really carefully watch out where the spread ends and when to feed the card. But if I'm forcing the bottom card, then I can just totally rely on my hand and just do it. So how I set up the deck, how I set up the classic force is I just pick the bottom card and do an overhand shuffle. And when I do second shuffle, it's a method taught by me by Tony Chang. I put this top card on my little finger, and I drag, and a natural in jog happens, and you keep shuffling. Now the bottom card, the original bottom card, is here, above my pinky break, and then I square it up a little, and then I transfer it to my ring finger break. I don't know if anyone else does it, but I usually do my classic force in a ring finger break. From here, it's very similar to the traditional classic force, but traditional classic force does multiple spreads like this. That's what I didn't like about classic force because I never spread like that. So instead, the way I do it, it's without the break. Let me show you as an example. Can you pick a card? Okay, that's it. That's what I'm doing. So in action, so let's say this is the card. Can you pick a card? And then I spread, and the middle card is the forcing card. And if I actually do it, then if you actually do it, then you'll realize that sometimes they won't have enough time to pick a card at that right exact time. That's why before I do a classic force, I usually tell them to stick your finger out like this and get ready to pick a card. And you can pick any card you want. And that's the rhythm. And another thing to watch out for is the body movement. If I go pick a card in here, and they can have a chance to go that card. So what I do is I feed the card into their fingers, but I don't just go like this. Instead, what I do is I'll just turn it face up, pick a card. You see what I mean? Their finger is above, around here. So I just time it right, and as their index finger gets close, I spread as I feed that card, and as soon as this forcing card touches their index finger, I pull back. So the motion is do, do. And then it is also important to mention that The card you chose doesn't matter. What card you chose doesn't matter. What matters is you remembering that card, because they feel they didn't pick a card. They just took a card. They randomly took a card, not pick the card. So you have to say that the card itself doesn't matter as long as you remember the card. And what's important is what happens next with this card, not what this card is. And I think that's it for my classic force. As a recap, overhand shuffle, so 12 clubs, and pinky in jog, and transfer it to ring finger break, and point your finger out like this. Okay, you can pick any card you want, and that middle card is 12 clubs. And don't forget to mention that the card itself doesn't matter. That's it for today, and remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel and subscribe to SansMinds email subscription, because you'll get these videos a day before it goes up on YouTube, so you will have more time to play around with it. And there will be more events and discounts going on, so stay tuned.